Hello and welcome to Chatco Podcast, where we walk you through scene by scene of a movie and give our opinion on the scene and the movie in general. I'm your host, Drag King Thomas Hughes.
And did you manage to pass English, or
I'm
you
half
just that
asleep.
drunk?
I'm trying to get into the mood for this movie.
You can't remember. You can't sleep.
That's the point. Hopefully I don't slur any more lines. But if you couldn't
Uh,
guess, today we're discussing A Nightmare on Elm Street, released in 2010, and serving as our final remake of the four big slasher franchises, since
mhm.
this remakes the iconic Wes Craven classic. You know, pretty much hack and slash though. Um,
Literally.
the movie was directed by Samuel Bayer, who only has this movie to his film credit.
I wonder
As,
why.
as both before and after this, he's more known for his adverts, or commercials if you're American, and music videos for bands like Green Day or solo singers like Justin Timberlake. He's literally just a
Really?
fucking music director,
Oh,
and yet they gave him a big fucking movie like this to do.
jeez.
Yep. The movie was once again produced by Michael Bay's Platinum Dunes, 1 year after the Friday reboot came out. And it obviously serves as the final entry in their remakes due to the movie's poor critical and fan response. So, yeah, I killed that. But
Spoiler that.
it did do well at the box office, but as I say, the ratings just killed the sequels. And, you know, it made Platinum's mindset just go, you know what, rebooting classic horror, that's not my thing anymore. You know what we'll do instead? We'll make original projects like The Purge or A Quiet Place, which obviously worked out better for them. So,
I thought you were gonna say something like make original stuff like Transformers.
nah, I came up
That's not.
before this.
I was gonna say.
No, they made like obviously A Quiet Place with Emily Blunt and The Purge with Ethan Hawke, and obviously they're fucking doing all them at the moment. So it's kind of a good thing that it's maybe failed in their eyes because they're actually doing a lot better now. So, thumbs up movie. The movie stars Jackie L. Haley or Harley, I think I don't know how you pronounce his last name. Taking over the role made by Robert Englund. Jackie starred in the brilliant Watchmen movie as Rorschach. He also starred in The Great Shutter Island with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
TV series adaptation of The Comic Preacher. And RoboCop. He was the guy that kept shooting RoboCop.
We don't shit Robocock. That's nice. Cock. I just said Robocock. Then didn't
I don't know. That's a listen back, but maybe. Have you been awake as well?
I mean, yeah, but you're not supposed to sleep. Remember, you said you can't sleep.
Yeah, we know we've got to get in the right mindset for this.
Yeah, that's true.
We're already slowing our lines as it is.
Plus, we got to stay awake. Because James will come into our dreams and do stuff to us we don't want him to do.
Yeah, that or Michael Bay might beat you up for saying bad things about his remakes.
Look, Michael Bay, your remakes are shit, and as Megan Fox says, you're a Nazi. No, prepare for the lawyers. Alleged Nazi.
The movie also stars Rooney Mara, the fiancée of actor Joaquin Phoenix. She is starred in Pan, the obviously Peter Pan film I did. Her, which also starred Joaquin. Carol, The Social Network, and The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Alongside her, we have Katie Cassidy, another CW star, or alum, how you want to fucking say it. She made Laurel Lance in Arrow, iconic.
Then,
and then came back.
Again and again.
But she's also appeared in 2 horror remakes prior to this, the Black Christmas remake and When a Stranger Calls. And I couldn't name this segment without mentioning we have a small appearance from Clancy Brown, aka Mr. fucking Krabs from SpongeBob. Can you feel it, Mr. Krabs? Can you feel it, Mr. Krabs?
That's all I've been fucking doing. Literally non-stop.
The movie focuses on a group of young adults who begin to have a disfigured man from their past and haunt them in their dreams. AKA James, but we burnt him.
Oh god, yeah.
Wait, is this what's going to happen? Is this what's going to happen when you kick James out of the company?
Yeah. He'll come back and haunt our kids. Apparently. I don't know.
I don't know.
He's unpredictable.
Oh, to solve this, I'll just lob me nuts off if you can't get on there.
That's very true.
Anyway, let's get straight into this movie. And let's not chopping off talking.
Sit down in the diner.
Yeah, so the movie opens on a dark, stormy night
Ooh.
at the Springwood Diner. I was going to make a joke and put Springfield before it there.
I thought you were going to do that because I'm electric in my head too.
The Simpsons, dark, stormy night. But yeah, we then get to meet Dean Russell, played by Kellen Lutz.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, he wants some coffee.
Who doesn't?
But the woman ignores him and carries on walking.
Bitch.
So, I read somewhere, I can't remember where I read it, but for this scene, he actually literally stayed awake for 3 days straight to get in the right mindset for the scene.
Jeez.
So obviously he comments in a bit saying he stayed awake for 3 days. He's not lying, he actually did stay awake for 3 days. Dedication, man.
Oh god. I mean, that's hardcore. I mean, like, you could die from lack of sleep.
I know, and to do it for such like this sort of crappy, in most people's eyes movie.
Yeah.
Then again, if you want to try and get yourself noticed, you're like, oh look, I'll do something like this. And they go, oh, maybe I'll hire him next time.
It's like Stephen Amell's cousin in the Babysitter, where like he had to go really. The second one, we had to obviously go into the cold water. And they got like topless, but apparently he actually had to do that, and
Yeah,
he had to
I
keep
saw
switching between his body, like double.
Yeah, I saw the behind the scenes in that film. Dedication, man.
I know. Yeah.
Anyway,
back to this film.
Yeah. Anyway, so Dean begins
one.
calling out for anyone, because there's no one there, before following the diner's only worker into the back. But yeah, she ignores him again and continues to walk. And yeah, in the back you see some weird shit like a pig head, everything on fire on the side.
Yeah.
Basically, if the inspectors walked in, the place would be shut down.
Yeah, pretty much.
And,
like the kebab shop next door.
And he keeps walking, but then he hears like a door open and close. And see, best thing to do is go check that out.
Quite true, yeah.
Nothing bad's gonna happen. So give some looks. See, the looks just open and shut, nothing bad. But turn left. Oh, there's a Freddy Krueger.
Oh, look, there's a little hand.
Played by obviously Jackie or Harley, whatever you want to fucking say.
Hey guys, hands up.
This causes Dean to obviously wake up with throwing his hand in front of his face to stop the blade attack. And when he wakes up, he's confronted by Nancy, played by Rooney Mara, who's also the sister of Kate Mara, who was in the fucking shitty Fantastic Four reboot. Just thought I'd say that, Hayden. She tells him that if he keeps falling asleep, then they'll kick him out. He acknowledges this before looking at his hand he used to block the knives, which he's actually slashed. So little bandage up.
I wonder how that happened. It's freaky.
And Chris walks in, played by Katie Cassidy, and she, she's pointed to Dean by Nancy, where she goes up and has a talk with him. And she's like, "Oh yeah, it looks like you haven't slept in 3 days." He's like, "Yeah, I haven't." And then we then meet our other two main cast members when Nancy walks over to Jesse, played by Thomas Dekker, and Quentin, played by Carl Gallner.
Ironically,
they ask for the check before Quentin spots Chris and Dean, which causes Jesse and his other friend, who we never really know. That random guy who's there for one scene. He leaves with that. So it's because him and Chris broke up recently. So Nancy then returns to question Quentin, where she obviously learns about this. He apologises for the mess. Yada yada. Jesse comes back. After a few seconds, like, "Come on, get out of here." He's like, "Okay, I'm coming." So he heads off, and we cut back to obviously Dean talking to Chris again. And he's saying that he's having these dreams, and they're very real.
Basically whinging.
But when she tells him they aren't, he knocks his drink on her, forcing her to go and clean herself up. Well, he's spinning a knife. Nothing bad can happen with this knife.
Oh, no, totally not. It's totally not grabbed
starts rubbing his eyes, because, he's a bit tired. 3 days is lack of sleep, what do you expect?
Yeah.
Oh, no, there's a
really bad camera shot. Oh my god, it had the effect. The visual effect.
It's like a weird sort of... This film has some decent shots, and then it has shots like this where you're like, what's with the old blurriness? I know it's like say it's like a dream, but you don't really need the blurriness to say it's a dream.
Yeah, it's a bit awful. Like I think visually it probably be better to have Freddy grabbing him, just actually seeing it as Freddy. Like, we just seen him. We know there's no point doing all this weird effects.
So it's just a weird effect that's unnecessary. But
Yeah,
there's obviously Freddy grabs him, puts a knife to his neck, but when it cuts to reality, it's just him
yeah,
standing there with a knife to his neck, yelling out, "You're not real." And even when Chris is telling him to stop, Dean just brutally slits his own
yeah,
throat,
and it is
like
brutal.
straight in. Not even like a little slash. The knife is straight
Yeah,
through his neck.
slowly dragged deep
Yeah,
through, and it is so good.
good, really good effect.
Like,
To be fair,
yeah, it's like probably one of the best like kills, really.
to be
As
fair,
far
it
as
probably is the best kill in this movie.
yeah, I mean, like it's visually more uncomfortable.
And it's quite unique
Mm.
because I don't think that's been in the franchise yet. Is
Yeah,
this sort of
normally it's always like some kind of weird, like dreamy kind of kill, or like all the lifting in the air and dying and shit like
basically
that.
it's basically just something comical.
Yeah.
Usually,
Whereas this one, obviously, it's
it's just
more.
brutal.
Yeah, because she's seeing him do it to himself. It,
Yeah,
it it looks more like suicide or some shit,
yeah, which obviously is
or
different to the first
ambiguous.
movie's opening kill because
Yeah,
obviously that one's what I'll explain later on when we
because
get to the
there's a
same
reference in there.
remake.
There's a
Oh, you mean for?
reference to that kill.
Oh no, the next kill in this movie is basically the same kill.
Ah,
They basically remade that kill,
of course.
but just changed the name, which I'll explain when we get to it. But yeah, so obviously
Mm.
Chris screams before we cut to the title of the movie. A
Boom.
Nightmare on Elm Street. Oh, la, la, la.
The nightmare is this film.
But yeah, I love how this film starts with this like really good opening sequence, apart from obviously that camera shot.
Yeah,
And you're like,
the
okay,
camera
okay,
shot.
okay, this is gonna be good. And then it just slowly just derails a little bit from here. Because
Goes from being like a normal reboot kind of video film to like a literal remake.
basically,
Yeah.
but yeah, so I did like as well the fact that obviously they introduced all the other characters that you're gonna need to follow in this film,
Yeah.
apart from that random geezer who's just there
That bloke.
for some reason. I do like that this give you like this little tiny information about each one, so their names, so you know
Yeah.
who they all are, which is obviously all you need to know at the moment.
Yeah.
Because they're going to expand on a lot of stuff, and there's the basic information. Obviously, Chris and Jesse were together at one point, so that's a little bit of information you need to know.
And basically why she's upset at his funeral, which we'll get to.
Yeah, so good job for the first 10 minutes. Apart from that shot movie,
Don't talk about that shot.
I will say there's an actual alternate death for Dean, which
Yeah.
there's no actual footage of apart from what's in the trailer. Then the trailer they released, which obviously pumped everyone up because it looks like a really fucking good trailer.
Mm.
It's like he's at like some sort of pool party, which what I read into is apparently it's Chris's pool party, and he's standing like on the roof looking down, and everyone's down there having fun. And it's like so I don't know if he must get down from there and go back up later on when everyone's sort of asleep, and she finds him, and he basically jumps off and splats on the ground below, splattering everyone in blood. But obviously they went with this kill instead, which I kind of think is a better version.
Yeah, because it's more brutal. Like, cause that was just fast over and done with. Whereas that's more you seeing it slowly being dragged across the throat.
Yeah, there's a lot of like alternate scenes that they've replaced, which some work fine. Like this, it did work fine, but there's an actual alternate ending which you can actually watch the deleted scene for, which is kind of a better ending, I will say. But yeah, so as the title rolls, we get a remake of the original theme before we cut to a funeral where all the main cast are gathered. They have a little prayer before Chris sees a little blonde girl throw some flowers into the grave.
Who's that blonde girl?
She has a little look around, but no one is looking. So she's like, huh? Because there's loads of like claw marks over this kid's chest, and
She's got a real itch there in the chest, the scratch.
and say it's definitely got to be an evil itch for the fact that you have to use knives to scratch you.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it's not like we haven't seen a character already that has knives for hands at all.
But, Han grabs the kid's leg, and Chris wakes up because she fell asleep and it was a dream. because you fall asleep at funerals.
Who doesn't really? I mean, you've always to the funeral.
But yeah, obviously when they're all going to leave, we get to meet Quentin's dad, Alan, played by obviously the best person in the world, Mr. Krabs.
He's asked, got any money?
money. But yeah, so he's the high school principal in this. He greets Nancy's mom, Gwen, played by Connie Britton, before telling Nancy she knows where his office is at school, so if he needs to talk, come see me. And then we put to Chris and Jessie, who talk after she sees the photo of Dean as a kid alongside the little girl from before, who was actually Chris. But she points out to Jessie that she never knew Chris till high school. Before she tries to explain that Dean was having dreams, and the words he said before, obviously he slit his own throat, but in reality he didn't.
Yeah.
But Jessie just puts it to the medication he was on because he was heavily fucking drugged.
Like he's on drugs.
He basically doesn't believe her. But
Nancy does.
Yeah, Nancy does, especially when she says it looked like someone was forcing him to do it. And then Nancy comes up and is like, I believe you. But Jessie just essentially says, get away.
Yeah.
She's fucked up as it is. And she's like, you're fucked up. And they walk away. And obviously cut to, oh God, I don't really want to talk about this scene, but we cut to Nancy sitting in bed while listening to music where, she has a little fall asleep, which leads to some very bad looking special effects where Freddy comes through the wall, which is obviously a scene remade from the original, but the original did it practically, not digitally.
Yeah.
And did it a lot better.
Looked better. I mean, the original was like a latex screen.
It was just like the
wall.
I think it's like the cameraman or producer or some guy like that just put his head against the fucking thing, and it looks 20 times better than this piece of crap.
Which was pretty much just like worse than you see in Doctor Who. That's why people always hate on Doctor Who CGI, but Jesus Christ. For 2010, you'd expect something a little bit better.
Oh, so we had Avatar in 2009.
Yeah. I mean, look at that. I may find that film incredibly boring, but I will say it is visually good.
But yeah, she wakes up when Freddy does that weird roar. And we cut to Chris looking at photos of her when she was younger. We'll ask her mom, where's the rest of the photos? Probably packed away in the garage. So
definitely.
Not
hiding.
Cut to her fast asleep in bed. But when her mom turns the light off, it's like good night. She gets back up because she ain't asleep.
No, she's not asleep. She's in the fucking attic.
Yeah, she heads off to the garage because the attic's in the garage. Heads up there, has a little look around, finds some boxes. Yeah. Some stuff in there, some little images. There's a
slash dress.
Yeah, there's a slash dress in there. Usual stuff you find in boxes in your attic.
The
lights then go out, but causing her to look around. As she pans around with the torch, she gets attacked by Freddy, who says, "Remember me?" She then screams and wakes up because, it was just another dream.
Just a dream. Nothing wrong happened there.
Again, obviously, because none of this, it was pretty much like a jump scare. He just jumps in front of her.
Yeah.
In an alternate scene as well, there's like a box, and he's just poking his head over the box, and she shits herself in. So it's not like he jumps at her; he's just poking his head over a box, looking at her.
I mean, it would have been cool, if he when they opened the box, he's actually in the box.
Hello. That would have been quite funny.
That would be going more into the comedy side, which is so this one's supposed to be more the dark side,
but still has the random forced lines every now and again.
Yeah, which we'll get to when we get to them, but we'll say right now they are forced.
They really are forced. As I said to you beforehand, and obviously you point out the fact that you would have preferred them to add more rather than make. Obviously, then it'd be less. Yeah. Because then it'd be less forced. Whereas I said, it's one or the other. You either go for it or you don't go for it at all. Just don't fucking do this forced shit in the middle. I'm doing this weird hand movement right now. I don't know why.
So if you go for comedy and dark, it can work. You've got to spin it right. Because if you just do it every now and then, a bit of comedy, it's mostly all dark.
It just seems forced.
Feels out of place. It's like the Batman vs Superman stuff. We knew Batman was this dark character, and then we go into Justice League, and he's a bit more comical, it seems different and forced. It's just that same kind of
It's Josh Whedon forced.
yeah. So, I mean, it's forced. So it seems a bit weird, and that's
It's
why
gonna be
here.
dark as fuck in the next one.
Yeah, that's what we want, really.
That's what exactly we wanted. Not
Yeah.
forced light. He's dark. It's Batman.
Like light works in other films, which we won't mention now
Yeah,
because we're getting too far ahead of
yeah.
ourselves.
Go back into this film.
But yes,
We've had this
back
talk.
to this.
Back to this film. So at school, Nancy talks to Quentin, who offers himself if she wishes to talk. But the conversation is cut short by his dad, who gives Nancy the evil eyes of, "Hello, I like money." Do you reckon? Do you reckon Platinum Dunes every time they're asked about? What inspired you to make another remake right after
Money.
this one did bad? Money. Oh, I'm gonna
And then
put that on the
obviously
screen right now.
it cuts to a nice little shot where she's slowly
Yeah,
sitting in the classroom,
getting bored
and then
by the
Thanos
teacher.
attacks.
Yeah, because everyone gets dusted when she's bored.
Yeah.
And quick to this. Well, first we have the textbooks, don't we? She looks at the textbook and she
Oh
sees
yes.
Freddy's glove, which then, as you say, she realises she's asleep. We have a Thanos snap. Everyone gets dusted, and it's all creepy in this room. Then everyone's vanished because of the dust, and she looks up to see a substitute teacher, Mr. Kruger.
Yeah, he's writing down, just saying 101 how to molest kids.
He tells her she shouldn't fall asleep in class, so she gets up, runs away. But again, it's a dream, so he controls all this. So she runs straight back
Yeah.
into the classroom, where Freddy tells her she has nothing to worry about because this won't hurt one little bit. He flashes a little blade at her because he's got his bit of hair and with his blade, and she wakes up screaming.
Because it turns out that Freddy's just over Scissorhands and he just wants to give her a haircut.
And so they've got him confused. He just wants to give her a haircut.
Oh yeah.
He was a hairdresser.
It's not maybe in paedophile, it's just a hairdresser.
Because obviously when she's awake now and she's apologising, the teacher's like, "You okay?" She looks down just to see a big chunk of hair that's been cut out. Oh, so she obviously as soon as the bell rings, she gets up, runs away crying, and doesn't even stop when Jesse starts calling her name. And we then see her driving home and passes. Oh, an Elm Street sign.
Oh. It's like the film.
When she gets home, her dog Rufus is outside, so she takes him back in before attempting to go into the loft again, which is stopped by her mom, who tells her she's flying to London since she's a flight attendant, and she's off to London, so Chris is all alone.
We gotta go at the film some way.
Yep. So Chris sets the house alarm as soon as she's gone. Before we cut to the night time, and she reads a paper about Dean, but a creak causes her to go shut the window. But it's only Jesse. Who, she lets him. It's a peeping Jess. Yeah. Not again. He apologises for everything he's done before asking her to tell him what's going on. She tells him she's having these dreams. Man is burnt. He's got knives for fingers.
Knives for hands. They were both like,
wait, what? We in sync here? It's like Step Brothers.
Velociraptor. Did we just become best friends?
But in this case, did we just become fuck buddies?
Yes, Jesse. Now let's go into. Let's stay awake.
Yeah. She's like, "Oh, can you stay with me?" And do you just fall asleep then?
Yeah, that was the joke. He's like, we'll try and keep each other awake, and then end up falling asleep.
I was midway talking, I could hear the snoring. I was like, "Wait, what? Are you falling asleep?" But yeah, she's like, "Oh, can you stay with me?" And he's like, "Oh yeah," and I say next minute, they're fast to fucking sleep. But Chris gets woken up because Rufus is barking.
Woof woof.
What's Rufus outside? She wonders.
She walks out.
Heads out.
She's a weird, strange, like.
Well, she calls him first.
Yeah.
Not she goes shit. So she heads on out. No flashlight or anything. Just walks on out.
Obviously.
Not even a coat to keep warm in this cold climate.
She sees a little man. He's got a fez on his head, and he's
she sees a dog first.
His name is James. Creepy guy.
Yeah, and then she carries on walking to see the dog on the floor with some slashes on him.
I wonder what happened.
Not the doggy. And then she looks up to see some claws because popping around the corner, it's Freddy.
James.
No, it's Freddy.
Oh,
James is the other side.
oh yeah, he just ran off.
And
He got spotted. Like shit.
and
No shit.
one of the many forced jokes in this one, he's like, "What? I was only petting him."
Yeah, even even when you do it, it sounds even bad.
But obviously, she runs off, and no, this is not my house. It's a school.
How did I get here?
The end. But no, in the school, she meets her younger self, who tells her they have to hide. Along the way, we get the classic Freddy nursery rhyme of 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. 3, 4, better lock your door. 5, 6, grab your
Smells like
crucifix.
piss.
7, 8, got to stay up late. 9, 10, never sleep again.
I think I remember a different version.
Yeah, I think you do. We then hear Freddy, finishing his own count. He's got his own count 'cause he's playing hide and seek. All he wants to do is play hide and seek. I've noticed that throughout this entire movie. He just wants to play hide and seek. They won't let him.
Seek. Yeah, it was play hide and seek and back scratch.
And hide the sausage.
Game. Yeah. Hide the zucchini.
But yeah, he turns and looks at Chris, which causes her to wake up. Yeah, she's back in bed. She tries to wake Jesse up because she's a bit scared, but he's like, no.
He's fine.
Yeah, he didn't wake up, so she, go wash her face, go wake up. And then she looks up into the mirror, and, usually to be a jump scare, but no jump scare. You're waiting for it and nothing. Okay, so she heads off back to bed. You see Jesse in bed. Sits down. But as she lies down...
Is it me or is his hands a bit knifey this time?
Because as she turns around, Freddy's in bed with her. And, he jumps on top of her. Gets a bit rapey as usual. Which, he says the words found you, which causes them to have a fit in reality, which causes obviously Jesse to wake up, grab her, and he's like, wake up.
The fucking exorcist bit happens. He starts flying.
He shakes her a bit. That's the best way to wake someone, to shake them. But they say, no, so she just starts raising into the air, and then just pinballs around the room. He's obviously trying to grab her in the air, can't reach her.
Yeah.
And then, as, he tries to grab her one last time, she just flies up in the air, and it's slashed straight down the middle. Multiple times. Because, multiple blades. Which is a remake of the Tina kill from the first one, but obviously in this one she's called Chris.
I mean, I do, when they're first watching it, obviously, because they're watching it, I don't really know who's going to be the main character or not. And at first, I did think she was the main character. The final girl, the one we're following. So the death came a bit of a surprise, I will be honest.
No, to be fair, if you ever watch the trailer, I know you haven't, but most of that trailer does at times focus on her, but when at the end of the trailer you do see this scream right before obviously the slash before it cuts to the title, which then makes you go, okay, I'm pretty certain she's dead at that point.
Obviously, I never watched the trailer, so I had no idea going into it what was going to happen. So I thought she was the main character, and then she's dead. I'm like, oh, fucking hell! It's like Psycho all over again.
I mean, obviously when she hits back down, Jesse's now covered in blood, which
that's totally not going to make him seem like he's idiot at all.
Yeah, you know what he does now. He just puts his trousers back on and just bolts out the house.
Legs it because
yeah.
If you report a kill, then people will say it's you, and you'll be sus and you'll be thrown out of that fucking locker. Yeah. Just saying.
As he runs out the house, the alarm gets hit because she set the alarm, the idiot. So the alarm goes off. He carries on running. Stops by a tree, has a little panic. Some guy starts yelling, "Hey, I'm gonna get the cops!" So we have to cut to Nancy's house. She's doing some art. Doing some arty. She's told to stop doing art and get to bed by her mom, but fuck that, I'm doing my art. And Jesse's right behind her and grabs her out of nowhere.
Because, one, how the fuck they get here? And two, why the fuck would you run up to somebody, grab them from the back when you're covered in blood?
Logic.
Makes sense, really.
Yeah. She thinks he's obviously harmed Chris because she's like, where's that blood come from? It's Chris. He's like, what are you doing to Chris? And he's like, no, not me. And they both, eventually agree to the fact that they're having the same dreams about Freddy. And
because she starts fucking singing.
Yeah, he starts in the lullaby, go, 1, 2, Freddy coming for you. And he's like, He's like, don't fall asleep.
Door.
He's like, don't fall asleep. And the mum's like, what's going on in there? So, he bolts out the window. But as he's
Drugs.
running, the cops arrive and arrest him. He tries to plead with them, but they use some non-policeman like words and tell him to shut the fuck
Shut
up. At first you're like, okay, he's like, shut up. He's like, okay, it's quite, maybe you should say that you have the right to remain silent. But it's as soon as he goes, shut the fuck up. American police, am I right?
Oh yeah, it totally has changed now. It's gotten fucking worse.
Yeah, but inside the cop car, he starts yelling at Nancy on the front porch. He's like, you know who did this. But, he's still driven away and thrown into a cell. And we then put back to Nancy, who's on the phone to Quentin. And he's like, oh, Chris is dead. And Quentin's like, oh. But, back at Jesse's cell, he's trying to stay awake, tapping his feet, slamming his head. Pissing off his cellmate. Nothing bad's going to happen to him.
Tony not going to get teleported into a boiler room.
The next morning, Quentin obviously starts researching some sleep deprivation, which leads to the computer going into sleep mode. To
be fair, though, like that fucking rip off Google is dog shit.
What was it called again?
Gigablast.
Gigablast.
It was so shit. Looked so bad, and also, why the fuck did you have to click enter and then click the blast off button? Why?
Shh. Movie logic. He's obviously no a sleep idiot. That's why it's sleep mode. He looks up to see a little girl in the bookstore watching him, but when he slowly gets up, she disappears. He then approaches, but the room goes all shaky with some weird camera effects again.
That camera effect, it could have looked cooler if it was done better. You know what I mean?
It just looked out of place. I don't know why it was happening. We already know he's in the dream. There's a fucking little kid staring at him and disappearing.
It was unnecessary. If all of them had that effect, then it probably wouldn't be that off-putting. It would be out of place. What the fuck's going on?
It's literally only two people who have this effect.
I was in a dream.
It's literally just two people have the same effect, and that's it.
It was unneeded, basically.
But he goes on walking. There's no one in there. Everyone's gone. Oh, it looks like Freddy in the kids' corner. And a little sit down with the kids, and as he turns,
poker.
That's it. Strip poker. I win. Get that shirt off. But, as Freddy turns,
in the background as well. Yeah, I'll have a go.
As he turns, basically Jesse's then Quentin's then woken up by Nancy, who asks him if he had a nightmare and if it was Freddy. But then we cut to Jesse. He's been bailed out now. You bailed out, son. Oh, okay. So he heads off.
That's totally not sus at all.
Well, while leaving, he just turns around randomly and, wait, there's a dead end behind me?
Oh, no.
The lights go out and the room then turns into a boiler room.
Oh, no. I should have predicted that.
Oh, we're in Freddy's nightmare world. Dream time. Dream. Dream. It's
a magical place.
Jesse hears Chris and he tries to find her, but along the way finds some kids watching him. Oh, and Freddy's standing behind him.
And don't touch my kids.
Freddy scrapes his nose against a pipe, causing sparks. Again, another sort of remade scene.
Yeah.
And before Jesse starts running away, and eventually finds the bodies of Chris and Dean.
Strung up like fucking trophies.
And Freddy eventually catches up and threatens Jesse before scaring him and disappearing. I do love when he threatens him. He's like, "What? I didn't even cut you yet." And obviously then he disappears and he stands up and he looks around and he's like, "Okay, I'm safe. Knife through the chest. Because glove hand through the chest. And we then see in the real world he literally just drops down and blood just gushes out of his chest because he's dead. I did like his cellmate said, banging on the door, going, "I didn't do it.
Yeah,
I didn't do it."
It's quite dark, ain't it? Really, because you know that he's going to get blamed for that.
See,
isn't there a bit in that scene where he goes, "Oh God," and the Freddy goes, "No, just me."
Yeah, which is a slight spin on one he said in the original. He does a similar sort of line to Tina, I think it was in the original.
Yeah.
She says something and he makes a God comment as well. So it's sort of a spin on that. But I will say I'm happy they didn't just remake the same fucking kill here. Because in the original one, he gets strangled to death. So I'm happy they didn't remake that same scene. It gave us this obviously new punch for the chest scene, which obviously leads to Freddy saying to him in the dream world that we've still got 6 minutes to play before he dies. He starts laughing, and Quentin's there screaming while strung up with his chest fucking ripped open. Because he did!
He dead now.
Meanwhile, Nancy and Quentin continue their research. Quentin shows he's on drugs to help him stay away.
On drugs.
And he's like, "Oh, do you want something?" She's like, "No." He's like, "Oh, suit yourself, nom."
All love a bit of ADD tablets.
Yep. And they both talk about obviously seeing kids in their dreams. It's because of flu, sleep-related things before we put to Gwen returning home and Nancy drawing again. She loves drawing in this movie.
It's her character trait,
Yep.
You gotta have a character trait.
But her mom enters the room and she questions her if she knew Chris before obviously high school, and she's like, "Nah." She's like, "Did we know him by Freddy?" And he's like, "No, never heard that name before." And she's like,
never heard of it. No, I don't know a Freddy. That
then
awful.
She then leaves and makes a phone call and says Nancy's starting to remember. Then cuts in Nancy getting in the bath again, another remade scene.
Yeah.
So we can get the iconic glove popping up out of the fucking bathtub because we needed the scene once again. But obviously, it cuts short of her always being drained because her mom knocks the door and the glove goes back under.
Really slowly, nope, not for me.
But obviously, before she fell asleep, she did set an alarm. But when she gets out of the bath, she heads off into a snowy bedroom.
Oh, who's been doing cocaine in here again? You, Tom?
Maybe, but she's wandering around, and it ends up becoming outside the school.
Almost like this school is important.
But as she approaches, you're obviously found by Freddy, who tells her she's his number one.
He's nice little ice lolly.
Yeah, before he licks her face and laughs at her because she set the alarm, but she set it in the dream world, not in reality. And he's like, heh, heh, heh. But she's lucky because she's awoken by a phone call by Quentin. So she's saved. And he tells her that Jess is dead. It's like, oh.
Well, fuck.
Then he pops some more pills.
Oh, fuck. More drugs.
We then cut to the two in Nancy's room where she shows him a drawing of the school she made after obviously she woke up, and she tells him that her mom is clearly hiding something. So we cut to them doing Scooby-Doo investigating. Start looking through old stuff. Oh, there's a drawer here, won't shut properly. Remove the drawer. Oh, there's an old photograph in here.
There's a picture of us all in our preschool because we're Americans, say preschool.
We knew each other. And obviously her mom comes in, confronts them. He's like, "Give me the photo. Give me the photo." And Nancy obviously starts yelling. He's like, "Stop lying to me." And her mom's like, "I'm not lying to you. I just didn't want you to remember." And she's like, "What?
Remember what?" Goes into the fucking picture.
Yeah, and we obviously now get the biggest change in the movie, which is Freddy's backstory, as he's no longer a child murderer, but while also still being the son of 1,000 maniacs, because in the original his mom was raped by 1,000 maniacs. That's why he's a murderer. This time now he's just a straight up child molester.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because it's dark as shit. So then obviously we get the backstory. So as you say, it zooms into the photo.
Just kind of a cool shot. Cool transition that was.
We see it obviously zooms in and obviously sort of spins around then to show obviously the photographer.
Yeah.
And it shows obviously Freddy doing the bunny rabbit behind the head. And her mom starts saying there's a guy who used to live in the basement. He's called Fred Krueger.
Makes no sense.
It kids are basically his life.
I wonder why.
We see him having a little game. They're playing hide and seek. I told you he just wants to play hide and seek. She tells him that they didn't want to believe it at first because they were so happy. She then states that Nancy was his favourite, which is obviously why he said number one. And one by one, we see like the kids acting weird. So we get Chris with the claw marks.
Yeah.
We get Quentin acting strange. So we get a slightly de-aged Mr. Krabs. Why were you in this movie, Mr. Krabs? Money. And obviously then we get Nancy telling a story about her going to this special place before crying.
The cave.
He was took me to the cave. You know, back in the
What did
present
he do
though.
in the cave?
Shh, nobody knows. But back in the present, Nancy and Quentin leave, but they're stopped by Mr. Krabs, who drives him home.
What's money?
Before we cut to school, where he's getting ready to do some diving because Quentin's a diver. That's his character trope. He begins to have a swim, race against other swimmers. Nancy's on the other hand actually doing some proper research, looking into the kids on the photo.
And that shitty giga bastard again.
Finding out one by one they're all dead. But we cut back to Quentin because he gets dragged under the water. And when he actually resurfaces, he's not at school anymore. He's in like an industrial sort of area. Like a really weird bit of water that's there. He gets there, he starts divering, covering himself because he's just in his swimming trunks. Like, and he looks up because he hears cars and he sees Freddy run past him. And he's like, hey, wait, what's going on? And the cars chase him. Freddy then runs into a building, locks himself in. Cars stop. All the kids' parents come out and attempt to get into the room with, obviously, Mrs. Krabs yelling, Kruger, get out of here, you sick bastard. You open this door, Kruger. And obviously, at this point, his lines are literally, what do you think I did? I didn't do anything. And she's like, okay, what's going on here? And we see his sort of red jumper underneath his coat. You see the outline of the jumper on his hand. You're like, oh, what's going on now? He sends some of the parents around the back to stop him from getting out. They then lift the fucking trunk of the car up and look into it. And Gwen's literally not against this. She's like, we need to do this the right way, not this way. And he's like, no, we're doing it this way. It ends tonight. So, they head up to the building, light up some gasoline, and set him on fire.
Like any normal parent.
Yep. So Kruger slowly lights himself on fire, starts getting his jacket off, revealing the jumper underneath before, it explodes. And the parents are watching. Some of them like in shock of what's just happened. You got fucking Mr. Krabs just like, damn right, money. And you don't want to touch his SpongeBob. And Jesse watches as Freddy just runs out the building on fire,
torch,
and basically ends the dream. But I will say before I continue, it might be slightly controversial in terms of opinion, but though I do love the original Freddy, it is the better Freddy. I do think this is the better backstory.
Yeah,
it's dark as fuck. Because don't get me wrong, a child murder is fucking dark. And being the son of 1,000 fucking maniacs because your mom got raped, that is dark. But I mean, come on, they literally turned him into a fucking pedo in this, and they made him so likable as well. When you look at him in the fucking that flashback at the start, he looks so likable. You're like, oh, this guy's a nice guy, and then he starts derailing. You're like,
obviously,
shit.
Like in that flashback, it kind of makes him look innocent in a way, because the whole point is they're making him seem like maybe he was an innocent person and they got the wrong guy. But obviously, later on,
we'll see the truth.
We fully find the truth.
But yeah, maybe controversial, but I do think this is the better backstory.
I agree with that. Because obviously I didn't really know the backstory of the other ones. I just knew that he killed kids and the parents burnt him alive for it. That's all I really knew. But obviously,
pretty much
I didn't
know
that because of Simpsons, but
in the fucking Willy episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to this movie. And Quentin is, he's been resuscitated since he almost drowned. But we cut back to Nancy, who looks up the last name, which is Marcus, played by Aaron Yu, who played Chewie in the Friday remake. She watches him do his vlog, slowly watches, mental breakdown before, his final entry has him headbutt the camera.
Which makes no sense.
Yeah, because that makes it look like, oh, maybe he's died, but then again, how's it been uploaded?
Yeah. So either that isn't him dying, that's him just being thrown into the camera, but he's still alive.
And waking up, yeah.
And he's like, oh, fuck. I'll upload it, and then died as he's uploading it or some shit.
Yeah.
And your friend is like, I don't know how to do these fandangle computers.
It's there, his knives on the keyboard. Tap, one by one. Like, W, A, L, G. Damn finger knives!
No. how do you spell it? How do you work this fandangle computer?
Yeah,
We're derailing here.
yeah. So she's obviously started by Quentin. She tells him that they're all dead. Everyone on the picture, he's pretty much dead, apart from pretty much them two. And he tells her that he knows what happened. So they're going to confront Alan, and they had the discussion of what was he actually guilty, or was it just that we're five and they would said anything?
Yeah.
So
Probably.
it's actually a very interesting plot twist.
Yeah.
Because you're just like, okay, did he do it, or as you say, is it just because they were young, they didn't know what was going on, and they just lied because the kids
the parents killed the
overreacted?
innocent person.
Yeah, that's quite an interesting sort of little twist in the plot here, which obviously doesn't lead anywhere properly in the end. Because
that's true.
But it's still interesting to make you think at this point, shit, maybe this version of Freddy isn't actually a bad guy. He's only come back as a bad guy because they make you're like, ooh,
like even though it become more of like they're more for vengeance than for like just evil revenge, make it seem more justified.
Obviously, this little twist leads to Quentin running out the office, very angry. Alan then tells Nancy, as far as everyone is concerned, Freddy never existed. So she then runs off after Quentin. Yeah, they have this little argument, and he's like, "What if our light got Freddy killed?" Yeah, they carry on walking, and we get another fucking remade scene as Chris in a body bag at the end of the hall for no utter reason in this version other than to say, "Oh, maybe I must go and loopy because of lack of sleep. Let's get drugs."
Why
but, let's go and get the drugs now. So they head off to the drugstore.
But they can't have it.
Yeah, he's run out of fucking prescription.
I'm not getting you giving you drugs, you druggie. No.
But inside the car, she gets attacked by Freddy. But she quickly wakes up and starts burning her arm with a fucking cigarette. What are they called in the cars?
Just don't really know. Actually, I just say it's a cigarette.
It's like where you can charge your phones, isn't it? Sometimes.
Yeah.
You got the right connection. It's basically like a cigarette. Yeah, people know what we mean. But so obviously she burns herself, then heads on in, he's still arguing, yada yada yada. She starts walking in the hall.
Thank God this hall isn't a changing into the fucking boiler room. Oh wait.
Freddy's here. And starts attacking her. And she slowly follows her, slashing at her arm, which causes her to wake up screaming.
Yeah.
She's then helped her by Quentin, since her arm is just bleeding there. But
she did manage to
drag a piece of his jumper out of the dream. Quentin obviously then picks her up and is like, "Let's get you to the hospital."
Almost like you can grab things from the dream world into the real world.
And at the hospital, while she confronts her mom, because she's just come in now, because obviously she's been called, Quentin steals some drugs, because drugs.
Some good drugs.
But in the hospital room, Nancy is almost sedated by the doctor, who is played by Judith Hogue, aka the original April O'Neil from the 90s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies.
Ironic.
Exactly. Ironic.
Who's April in the Teenage Mutant films?
Exactly.
Oh yeah, it's fucking Megan Fox.
But the needle becomes Freddy's gloves, so she freaks out and forces the doctor outside to literally make her mom sign a form allowing them to forcefully sedate her. And her mom does, but when they head back in, she's actually gone
done
because
a fucking runner.
She's now with Quentin, who, as the adrenaline shot, he's like, "You want some?" She's like, "No." And he's like, "Suit yourself, adrenaline."
I've watched Kick-Ass too. I know what happens when they're adrenaline.
What is this, Left 4 Dead?
Oh my god. Pills over here!
He's not using this to stay awake, so they two drive off to the school and start having this conversation to help Nancy stay awake. They ask about his favourite colour, if we make it out of this, will you go on a date with me? Well, maybe I'll say no. Oh, Freddy's in the middle of the road. Crash.
Very typical teenage drama.
Yeah, the two crash and have to slightly get out. And they have to walk now. God, walking. And Freddy's laughing.
Let's hope they make it to the thing. They actually fucking do.
Yeah, even with the little Freddy laughter in the background. Yeah, make it to the school. After that break in.
What was the point of the car breaking down if they were just going to walk there anyways?
Because it's fucked now.
What are they going to do? Not exactly like they're going to have to drive away anyways. They wanted to come to the fucking.
Meh.
Like,
Yeah, when they get to the school, as I say, they have to break in because it's locked, because it's a run down school that no one goes to. And they begin to walk their memory lane, seeing all the rooms from the dreams before. Quentin then,
microsleep.
Quentin then freaks out because Freddy's right in front of him. But, again, it wasn't real, so, they continue to the basement. Have a little search around before eventually finding a secret room that Nancy remembers, which is obviously the cave. She starts having these flashbacks of her Freddy painting and having fun before Quentin finds a box. I wonder what's in the
Ooh.
box. Some pictures of
Mm.
kids. And nothing too serious. Nancy's like, okay, what's that? He's like, you don't want to see. You don't want to see. She's like, show me what it is. He tries to stop her, but she gets him anyway because pictures of all of her. And she has this mental breakdown, which leads to them both realizing that Freddy is actually
A
pedo,
pedo.
because he isn't after them because they lied. He wants them because they told the truth and got him killed. So the parents actually did justice, but then again, they created a psychopathic dream. It's quite difficult to think: did they do good or did they do bad? Because either way, they killed it.
Yeah, they delayed their kid's death. Let's be honest. That's all they really did.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, though, he might not have killed. He might not have been trying to kill them. He might have
Nah,
just been molesting them. That's all.
I'm pretty certain that's the idea of this one. He wasn't obviously going to kill him. He just, as you say, that. But no, he just wants a revenge.
So they switched a lifetime of mental breakdowns to death.
Yep. With this knowledge now of them going, okay, we need to get rid of him once and for all. Nancy comes up with this plan to get Freddy. So with Quentin on watch, she falls asleep and heads into the dream world to confront Freddy. But Quentin does a smart thing here. He actually gets a weapon and then falls asleep because he's the one that definitely needs to fall asleep and make from the boiler room the idiot. And he obviously gets attacked by Freddy, slams his head into the pipe, causes him face to bleed. But he's saved by Nancy, because she's like Freddy, and he's like, oh, your girlfriend's here, because Quentin's pretty much out of it now from a head banging and slashing of chests. And he starts heading towards her, singing songs to start tormenting her. But as he confronts her, he asks what game they're gonna play, and she's like, fuck you. And he's like, ooh, maybe we should just hang first. Shows the bodies of the dead people, obviously. And the world then changes into her living room, where she's forced to hide in the closet from him. But a quick jump scare of him in there with her forces her to run out, and him just burst out after her. She then runs up the stairs for it. Another fucking scene sort of remade, because in the original there's a scene where she runs up the stairs and the stairs start engulfing her feet. But in this version, she runs into a fucking pool of blood. He has a little swim.
Slowly swimming away.
He starts doing more like forced remarks of wet dreams.
Yeah.
And she then makes drops through the fucking ceiling because the whole water blood explodes, and she lands in her fucking bed in her old clothes. And he turns back up, starts knocking the door towards her in that really, really creepy, standing in the doorway sort of way. And he
reminds me of the uncle.
He then attempts to assault her clearly before throwing her around the room, which helps.
We don't talk about the phrase he used.
But the mouth, yes.
Yeah.
But she managed to get a. Is it a knife? She got a pen. Oh, scissors. That was it. It was scissors. She has scissors. Wedges it into his eye, and he mutters a line that he said in the fucking original. And in the real world, Quentin's dead trying to wake her up, and it's not happening. And Freddy's telling her that the reason she stayed awake for so long is because he allowed her. So when she finally fell asleep, she would never wake again. And as Freddy attempts to stab her one last time and kill her, Quentin managed to inject her just in time, and she drags him into the real world, allowing Quentin to attempt to attack him. But he's easily beaten with a quick stab to the chest.
Yeah, but he's not dead though. He's fine. He's just crawling away, but he's fine.
Nancy then tries to save him, but Freddy's, he's still in control here, and
Nice.
he can't kill either of them because he's getting blocked here and there. Quentin then gets up and stabs him in the leg, getting his attention. So that when he attempts to kill Quentin once and for all, he loses the upper hand. No pun intended. Because
Ironically, yeah.
Nancy cuts off his glove,
Hands where I can see
and before muttering the "You're in my world now, bitch" from the Freddy vs. Jason, and she slashes his throat, and he's dead
Freddy.
in a very anticlimactic way.
Dead.
It's quite anticlimactic, to be fair.
Almost like he's not actually dead.
No, but I mean,
he's dead.
In the old one, when she dragged him to the real world, there was quite like a lengthy sort of chase scene.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, it's just like dead. Oh, okay. Well, fine. A bit anticlimactic. But yeah. She then lights the whole place on fire. Fire engines turn up. To get the body in there. Oh, wonder why. Oh, take Quentin to the hospital. And I will actually mention the alternate ending here. Yeah. So, from when Freddy gets on top of Nancy in the dream sequence the second time, he actually turns himself into the less burned self, so the original self, just to torment her.
Yeah.
And so basically, when she drags him into the real world, he looks like Fred and not Freddy. Oh. And in the real world, we actually don't have Quentin fighting. He's straight already out. Which obviously, so you get the final girl, not this fucking joint fighting. And you get to watch Nancy just go full badass, like the original did, and she just beats down Freddy with a bat and causes him to fall into a lamp, which catches his leg on fire. And as she's beating him down, she's obviously shouting at him, she's yelling at him, and eventually she just bats like this pile of flammable liquid all over him and just engulfs him. So this version of Freddy burns to death, not has his throat slit.
That would have been cool, though, I think.
And
I did like the whole idea of it starting with a throat slipping, ending with a throat slip, but obviously, one that gets ruined by the next scene, and also I think that would probably be more cooler.
Because she's like basically just yelling things at him about she's not to him and all that, and then she just fucking bats like this. It's like it's like a mixture of paint cans and like just liquids, and she just like cricket bats it at him, and it just engulfs him.
One-liner.
And it basically, obviously it would have been a nice way for him to, sort of end but obviously we know what's going to happen next. But yeah, it was a much better way, and obviously it was an easier way of having the whole building engulf instead, not just we've killed him, let's just set him on fire anyway.
Let's just do it anyways.
But this version obviously did. But yeah, so we cut back to this. Cuts in Nancy getting home with her mom. She obviously got a sling in her arm because she's injured. Two talk for a few moments before Nancy sees Freddy in the mirror and has to watch as he punches his claws through her mom's face and drags her back into the mirror. Which, obviously, apart from the CGI of the glove thing, it's quite cool when he's behind her and he just comes out and just drags her back in. That's quite cool. And obviously the glass just refixes. She's there screaming.
It's got blood in the mirror, but obviously there's no actual body. So it looks...
And obviously she's there just screaming as the movie ends, and literally for the second horror remake, like the last, because obviously Friday did it as well, it ended on a jump scare, which was meant to lead to like a sequel as well as paying homage to the original sort of jump scare, and obviously it doesn't pay off in either sort of way, especially regarding the sequel, because obviously both were meant to have sequels, both got scrapped and up in the air. But again, this obviously was a remake of the first fucking one's ending, as we spoke before, and the first one had a fucking blow-up doll, so even though the CGI is the crap, it still looks better than this blow-up doll getting dragged into the house, so, thumbs up movie. Oh. Yeah. Ready to overall this?
Yeah.
So, for me, this movie, it's a decent attempt at trying to remake the original. Though I would have preferred them doing a new story rather than just remaking the same story. I will say I did like the change to Freddy's backstory, so I'll give them that.
I would agree.
I'd rather them not have constantly paid homage in this sort of sense, because obviously they did like the remake of scenes, but it just felt like it was the same movie as the first, because they just did the same sort of shots and into the same story. Whereas you look at like Texas Chainsaw and the Friday remake, they incorporated the similar sort of story, but not fully the same. and it gave us this new, completely different. So obviously, the Texas it gave you this new family, and had them obviously a lot different to the first one. The Friday one, obviously, it sort of kept the same line of teens going to this house, getting murdered, but it added obviously other elements into it to make it different.
Yeah.
So
Also, they changed the way they did.
Jason and Leatherface
Mm.
in both senses,
But this
but
one, it obviously just changed Freddy as
yeah,
well.
but
But
not the story.
yeah,
See, I
it's like the same story, but with Freddy, a different Freddy.
I did read that they were gonna do the Friday remake and actually make an original story, but then add like the best sort of parts from all the other movies, so like maybe like a kill, but like make it newer, maybe subplot. And they were gonna do that, but in the end they chose to fucking just go, oh, you know what, let's just make a dark remake instead. And they're like, oh, okay, let's just do that. So it's kind of a shame we didn't get to see that one.
Mm.
So you know, we got this fucking remake instead. But the movie, as you said earlier, the movie starts off good with that opening kill, which is different to the first. And you're like, oh, that is really good opening. Where's he's gonna go? But then it just obviously slowly
Yeah.
for the next like 20, 30 or so minutes, though it does do it in a sort of different way. It does pretty much just remake a lot of the opening for the first movie with obviously Tina and I can't remember the guy's name for the love of me in the original. Their sort of their path to death and whatnot. Obviously, Jesse obviously replacing that guy in this one. He had a different way out, but it still was him being with Chris when she died, running away, getting arrested, put in jail, which is where he died. So that hack and slash sort of remake there. Okay, the last portion did a lot different for the fact that Quinton replaced Glenn, who was obviously Johnny Depp in the original, who died towards the end of that. So he replaced him and added a bit more to this character to do more than just, oh, I'm just going to die in a bloodbath. So I'll give him credit for changing sort of the second half a bit more, and obviously Freddy's backstory, but they stuck too closely with the Chris and Jesse stuff, which
Yeah.
is a bit iffy. As we said, the CGI certain iconic scenes is a bit, and it feels a bit off. Obviously, as we said, the humor at times just feels a bit too forced.
Mm.
If they went with the uh, alternate ending, I think it would have been a better ending.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a shame it didn't. But for the fact that's still out there, I'm going to give them props for seeing this ending as well. So I'm just going to sort of incorporate that here. I like they remade the original theme. I do like they did a little spin on that one, but pretty much you can still hear it. You're like, oh, yeah, I can hear that right there. And obviously the nursery rhyme still being here because you can't have a Freddy movie without the fucking nursery rhyme. It doesn't work, man. It doesn't work. What else we got? Obviously, we spoke about some of the shots earlier on. So you got some decent shots, and then you got some weird fucking shots that you're just like, what the fuck? Like Dean's death with the weird camera shaky, whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Yeah.
But then I liked when you saw Freddy's glove scraping across the pipe. That looked quite cool. What else we got? So my last sort of note is that I do like this movie's take on Freddy. He's not my favourite take on Freddy. Obviously, he's got the original one, which is obviously the better one. And we've got the one for the New Nightmare, which is the meta version, which was like a demon, not and like character, which was a lot better and quite a lot darker at times in this. And it did manage to incorporate the jokes into this much darker version of him, so that did it a lot better. But I do like that this version for the fact they made him look more like a burn victim rather than just like a mask.
Yeah.
Obviously, the old ones were just like a weird looking mask, whereas this one, it's straight up. They've looked at burn victims and gone, okay, let's design our Freddy after that. And that's sold obviously by Jackie Earle Harley's performance, even though they did fucking alter his voice and editing to make it more demonic. But his sort of movements and that sold his take on the character, and he did a decent job. And ironically, he auditioned for the original.
Really?
He went with Johnny Depp because he was friends with him. Because I've read this on something before, and he went to audition for it, and they didn't want him, and they looked at Johnny Depp and said, "Oh, do you want to be in it, mate?" I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then when this movie came out into production and whatnot, I think it was I can't remember who it was, but it might have been Robert Englund pushed him to go for it, and obviously he got it. So it's ironic that he never got the original, but he managed to get the remake. which
Let's be
is
honest, not the best
yeah,
payoff, really.
not the best payoff, but at least he got one. um, what we got? So I will say this is better than the Halloween movie, so that's obviously set the lower bar. This is better than that. It's not weird
Yeah,
hillbilly white trash. It's a lot better than that. But I don't think it reaches the what I gave with like the Friday and the Texas movie. So obviously I gave the Halloween a 6. Friday in Texas was 8 and 9. I think you can see where I'm going with this one.
yeah.
So I'm gonna go slap bang in the middle of this 6 and 8, and I'm gonna give it a nice little 7, as it is enjoyable. Obviously, there's a few little nitpicks, but I think it's still got enough enjoyability that I can sit
Mm,
through it and go, a decent movie. I'd rather sit through the original, obviously, but I think it's still not as pile of shit as people said it
hmm.
was.
Okay, well, my overall probably be a little bit similar. Like shot wise, there were some of they were hit or miss really. There were some good ones, like the transition with the picture to the memory. That was a really good shot. But then there's the awful ones, like even the shot of the house. Like this is supposed to be like one of the most iconic like houses in this in like horror films, and it's just a boring
Stock footage.
night. Yeah, it's like a stock footage. Right? It's awful. So yeah, they got some good, but they had some bad shots. The acting was good, like especially like obviously Freddy's was well done for what they had. He did a good performance, definitely. And I was like, I would have preferred the more dark and the humor mixed in together, like better than just the out of place ones that didn't really make sense. Like that would have been way better if they'd done it more. But yeah, the whole film really was just like I said before, hit or miss. It just wasn't the best thing around, but it wasn't the worst thing around. It's watchable, but it's not one of those ones like, oh, should we sit down and watch the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street? What do you mean, fuck off? I want to watch it. That wouldn't happen. Literally, it's just like from the horror film. It was just kind of dull in a way. There was bits of entertaining part. Like the first ever kill was amazing. Well, that was a really good kill, and then it all went downhill from there. So I'm gonna say it's slightly better than Halloween. So I've got to give it at least 1 point higher. But like it's still kind of like not something I'd watch again. I'd rather watch the originals because I like the Freddy from Freddy vs Jason, and that would be quite similar, I'd imagine, to the originals and the sequels and stuff. So I'm gonna give it a 6.
Obviously, a higher 6 compared to Halloween. Well, actually, so is
I
higher
gave
6
Halloween
compared.
a 5.
Yeah, it was Texas.
It's,
She gave a 6.
yeah, I say it's like a low 6. It's not the best thing out there, but I'd rather watch that than the convoluted awfulness of
White trash.
Halloween. Yeah.
So that gives it a chat cave overall rating of 6.5.
Mm.
So I'm actually changing my question of the day. I've just re-changed it. So do you think that Robert Englund's performance and Wes Craven's sort of style in the original just made it too iconic to even try and remake without disrespecting fan base or just making a bad movie?
I think so, yeah. Because it's like with Jason, the whole point is he's all quiet and kind of slow, but in a way fast. So like he would be like Jason Statham being this comical, low key kind of character. It would be wrong and out of place. And like I think they acknowledged that they need to at least have him do jokes, but they didn't really know how to do that and mix the dark themes, which is obviously the whole point of Freddy is he's dark character but campy and jokey all the time. So I think the way they did it was so good that even though that's hard to change without ruining the core essence of that character. So I agree, yes.
Okay. So, yeah, well, that's it for Chat K podcast for this week. Join me and Hayden next week as we move away from horror remakes and get us a special guest for like one in many fucking few weeks because we've got many special guests going on. And this one, he's one that's yet to appear on the podcast. So, we got him so we can discuss the movie adaptation of Stephen King's The Shining because he won't come on unless we do The Shining.
Yeah.
Or any other ones he wants. So we're doing The Shining. But until then, I've been your host, Drinking Thomas Hughes.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to sleep now. Good night.
And this has been a Chat K podcast. Hayden, whenever you don't fall asleep, because there's 99% chance Michael Bay will get you for not giving his remakes 10. If he can get Megan Fox, he can get you.
Megan Fox!